Okay. Good evening and welcome to the September 20th meeting of the governing body. I call this meeting to order. If you will give your attention to Councilman Dobler, who will present the invocation, stand as you are able and then remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to do my best imitation of a man of the cloth. If you'd bow your heads. Lord, thank you for the opportunities that bring us together this evening. Please watch over those in uniform who guard our country and keep us safe. Watch over those who work so tirelessly for this city, including police officers and firefighters who answer the call when we need them. Watch over those who toil on hot days, keeping our streets drivable, and freezing nights, keeping our water flowing. Watch over those who make difficult decisions behind the bench in this room during the day, and all others in our fine city who serve us tirelessly. For those of us on the council gathered tonight, please keep our wisdom long and our paragraphs short. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilman. I propose that be a part of every invocation. We've now entered into the business of the governing body. If the clerk would call the roll, please.
Mayor Padilla.
Here.
Council members Hiller. Here. Valdivia Acala. Ortiz.
Here with an assistant.
Emerson.
Her assistant is here.
Kale.
Here.
Nager. Here. Dobler.
Here.
Duncan.
Here.
And Lesser. All right, we have 8 present. Council members Valdivia Acala and Lesser are absent.
Thank you. If we move on to agenda item number 2, the appointments.
A is a board appointment recommending the appointment of Beverly Hill to the Jayhawk Area Agency on Aging Advisory Council for a term ending September 30, 2025. B is a board appointment recommending the appointment of Carol Ramsey to the Jayhawk Area Agency on Aging Advisory Council for a term ending September 30, 2025. C is a board appointment recommending the appointment of James Kaup to the Topeka Planning Commission for a term ending September 30, 2025. D is a board appointment recommending the reappointment of Greg Short to the Topeka Shawnee County Riverfront Authority Board for a term ending September 30, 2025. And E is an advisory council appointment of Joe Charest to the City of Topeka Americans with Disability Act ADA Advisory Council for a term ending September 30, 2024.
Okay, the council has heard the board appointments. Entertain a motion. Motion to approve from Councilman Kell, second from Councilman Emerson. If you call the roll vote, please.
Council members Duncan.
Yes.
Hiller.
Yes.
Ortiz.
Yes.
Emerson.
Yes.
Kale.
Yes.
Nager.
Yes.
And Dobler.
Yes.
We have 7 yes. Motion carries.
Okay. I know that a number of people just appointed were not able to attend, but I see Mr. Schwartz in the audience, so if I could ask him to stand. Oh, and there's Joe. Didn't recognize you with your mask on. Thank you. If you'll stand so we can give you our appreciation. Thank you very much. We'll move on now to agenda item number 3, the consent agenda.
A are minutes of the regular meeting. Those have been moved to the October 4th agenda, and there's one cereal malt beverage application for Fuel Express number 53 located at 506 Southwest Topeka Boulevard, and staff is recommending approval.
Okay. You've heard the consent agenda. What is the pleasure of the body? Move to approve by Councilwoman Ortiz. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Emerson. If you call the vote, please.
Mayor Padilla?
Yes.
Councilmembers Hiller?
Yes.
Ortiz?
Yes.
Emerson?
Yes.
Kale?
Yes.
Nager?
Yes.
Dobler,
Yes.
and Duncan.
Yes.
We have 8 yes, motion carries.
Motion's been carried. We'll move to agenda item number 4, action items. If the clerk would read.
A is an approval of the funding recommendations by the Alcohol and Drug Abuse Advisory Council in the amount of $590,000 for the 2023 Special Alcohol Fund.
Mr. City Manager,
you,
welcome
Mr.
aboard.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have in the audience Don Crowder. He's the chair of the Grant Review Committee, and we'd like to call him up front to make the presentation.
So, with regard to the Topeka Shawnee County Alcohol and Drug Abuse Advisory Committee, do you guys have any questions on the proposals?
Any questions from the body? Is there anything you would like to state to make sure that you've,
So, with regard to what we did for the committee, we followed the same procedure we have in the past. We did the scoring. We have a panel scoring. We provide the grant recipients with a scoring procedure that goes along with the diversity of their board, with processes like, let's see, there's procedures for how they're going to rate their outcomes, how they're going to rate their processes for compliance. Then we look at the diversity of the board, let's see, there's a couple other procedures that we follow. And then we score that for compliance. We do our procedures for our panel that we have, and we give them the scores. We pass that on to the city. They do the scoring with relation to the amount received, so they score it out according to the monies available. And then what we do is we vote on that process. Then when that's all final, we forward it to you guys for the final decisions. So that's kind of where we are at this point today.
okay?
So where I'm at is just kind of coming forward to see if you have any further questions for us as a committee.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Councilman Dobler.
Yes, one quick question. Thanks for being here. It
course.
looks like you basically funded everything except the new programs. Is that
Yes, sir.
is that correct? How long does it take a new program to achieve funding status? Or, I mean, do you have programs that try for a couple of years and finally get funded?
Both the new programs that applied this year were brand-new programs. One was the Veterans Court, which was an extension of the current court, drug court. So Veterans Drug Court, kind of an expansion of the current drug court, which has existed for quite a while now. We were able to fund it on the county side because there was excess funds there. So they were eligible for funding on the county side. But we weren't able to fund them on the city side because there weren't any funds available. Actually, there were less funds available this year than last. So we couldn't really see funding them. The other program that we weren't able to fund was the Boys and Girls Club program, which was a big disappointment for me because I'm a children and youth provider. And so that was a program I would have really liked to seen funded. But when we saw our legacy programs that we'd funded for several years, decade probably each, we chose to go with those and look for maybe in the future, if we have expanded funding, see fit to expand toward those programs. Because those programs were new programs, we went ahead and had them do grant applications in the hopes we'd have more funds this year. We weren't. We went ahead and had them give us grant presentations so we'd know what they were hoping to provide in the city. And while they were disappointed we weren't able to give them funding, we were glad that they were able to give us presentations so we knew what they have to offer, not only the committee, but us on behalf of the city as a whole. Because they both are worthy programs for what we would have to offer. One of the things we hope is possibly there'll be more funding through this avenue, but there's also possibilities that we might seek funding through other avenues in the future and be the stakeholder that sponsors that funding on behalf of these community agencies that are worthy of this kind of funding. And so to answer your question, there's a hope for those agencies that we might be able to secure some funding. And maybe in the future, we can be the champion for them.
Great. Thank you for that.
Sure,
Appreciate it.
Further questions? Councilwoman Ortiz?
Yes, ma'am.
Tony broke my mic. I know it was you because you've been sitting here. Hi. First of all, City Manager, if you could educate us, not tonight, but on Veterans Court, I'd like to know a little bit more about that. This is the first I've ever heard of it. I don't know about my colleagues, but I would like to know more about it so I can share that with our constituents. Second of all, when we have, I agree with Neil, when we have new, I've always been a proponent for new entities coming in, and when we have that, isn't there like a percentage we can maybe give them or something like that? Have you guys ever looked at that? Take maybe 2% off of everybody, and so we would be able to fund them somehow?
There is a possibility we could do that. We're looking at changing the way we structure not only the grant applications for next year,
Okay.
but the way we divide out the funding. So we're looking at making some adjustments. One of the concerns this year was if we knew we weren't going to include some of the new applicants, why did we have them go through the process of doing the presentations? Why did we have them do the effort of doing the presentations? Which was true. In the grant process, there was no avenue for us to discount them early. In the grant process, they actually had to complete all the steps in the process by the process we had written. So we couldn't disclose to them early that we had discounted them as eligible. They had to literally go through the process and give the presentation. In a way, we couldn't tip our hand early that we had made the decision. So even though we had discounted them, sadly, they had to go through the presentation process, or the other grant recipients that would have known. And so we're looking at where can we change some of the grant application process so we can tailor that to be more conscientious of the people that may not be eligible, but also possibly do what you've asked, be more open to newcomers, you might say, because both these programs are worthy. We do want to be open to new programs. We don't want to turn them away just because we have strong programs that are established. Actually, the foundation of what we're doing is to grow new programs.
Right.
Some of the programs we have are well established, and we're looking at do these legacy programs now that they're established. Should we, now that they're established, should we go ahead and let them build on what they have and steer some of those funds to the programs that are beginning to take initiative?
Thank you. Thank you for looking at that.
Sure, sure.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Kidd?
Yeah, that was one of the little things that did bother me is that you talk about legacy programs and things like that, and almost kind of shutting down some new programs because of that. Because sometimes just because it's always been done a certain way doesn't mean it's the right way anymore. there's always certain things, and I'm big about, over my life I've learned, you want to kind of almost fix the problem, you fix it with the youth.
Yes.
And that's where it's kind of like everyone else kind of a little disappointed, and like you said yourself, that the Boys and Girls Club didn't get funded.
Absolutely.
Because I look at those things, the more you can educate the youth, the better off they are long-term, and, even if it's just learning about warning signs and things like that, that they can even self-identify as a person that might need help
Yeah.
when they get older, so, and the resources are out there.
And their program is a national program that is evidence-based, has worked for Boys and Girls Club programs throughout the nation that they've established here in Topeka for a few years, and they're just looking at expanding throughout the community. And so they were turning to us for some extra funds. And so we're looking at next year, where can we expand and kind of invest in that program.
Councilman Emerson? Just move for approval. Okay. Have a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second by Councilman Kell. If you call the vote, please.
Councilmembers Hiller,
Yes.
Ortiz,
Yes.
Emerson,
Yes.
Kale,
Yes.
Nager,
Yes.
Dobler,
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Duncan,
Yes.
and Mayor Pia.
Yes.
We have 8 yes, motion carries.
Okay. Move on to agenda item number 5, public comment, and I have one young woman, Shamika Sims, signed up to speak for public comment.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I made it here on time, so that's a good thing. Last time I missed you guys by probably a couple of minutes. I came tonight to talk about the DEI position. I know that there was some conversation a couple of weeks ago and maybe possibly last week, and I just wanted to just give some feedback on that. So, my concerns really are about the readiness of the city for a position like this and it being a successful environment that this person walks into. I have volunteered over the years to do DEI work, and I can tell you that that work is very difficult, extremely difficult. It is good that this position is paid because trying to do this as an employee or someone who volunteers their time to working with people through this very difficult subject matter is very emotionally and mentally taxing. And so funding does help. One of the reasons that I found it difficult is because when you have a marginalized identity, seeing your colleagues kind of check out and become passive aggressive and not doing the work engenders distrust. It engenders frustration, and nothing will make you want to leave a situation faster than watching your colleagues and people that you respect not giving you the space to share something that is a very personal journey for you, in whatever way that looks like. I think there's a culture of people believing that DEI work is something there's a standard that you're supposed to achieve, and once you've hit that, you're done. And that is actually not the case. It is about listening, sharing, listening and sharing, educating, taking the time to reflect, and then doing something different. And that is the cycle. There is no, you have arrived. You listen, you share, you educate, you reflect, you do something different, you go back to listening. I wanted to make that clear because with this DEI position, the markers of improvement are not like the ones that you're used to working in government. There's not percentages, there's not the roads are better, something looks better. Those markers of improvement are not immediate. And the person who gets this position needs time to break through people's ego, to break through their defensiveness, to break through layers of conditioning, years of conditioning of who people are and why they are like that. That takes time. So if you are going to do this position, I strongly encourage you to give it a minimum of 3 years. 5 would be better, because you will know success is happening when policies start to change. People are starting to respond to those policy changes positively, and that needs time, and mostly listening and reflection, doing it better, listening some more. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you for your comments. I don't have anyone else signed up, but is there anyone else that wishes to partake of public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on to announcements.
Meeting next week.
No announcements. We're on a roll. Okay. I'll start with Councilman Dover. Oh, I'm sorry. City Manager. Jay, right off the bat. Well, I did it to Bill. I might as well do it to you.
Actually, Mr. Mayor, if I could, we have Adam Vaughn in the audience, and I know you guys are tired of seeing him after all the budget stuff, but Adam received a very nice honor this week through the governor's office, a program known as Next Gen 30, which recognizes up-and-coming individuals for our state. Adam's been recognized as being one of those individuals, very, very proud of him, and actually received another award last night along with Josh McInerney through the University of Kansas for being stellar individuals in the field coming right out of school. So certainly proud of the two guys.
Congratulations. Thank you, City Manager. Anything further?
No, sir.
Okay. Councilman Dover.
Yeah, I'm part of Next Gen 60, by the way. No awards yet, but I'm looking. No comments, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Mayor Duncan.
Thank you, Mayor. Just two brief things. First of all, folks, spay and neuter those pets. Our shelter is overrun, our cat shelter is overrun, and part of the problem is the spaying and neutering has dropped. So spay your pets, spay your neighbor's pets, spay any pets you see. Let's take care of that for the whole community so we can help those folks get things adopted and not fill our shelters up. The second thing is Friday, 10 a.m., Policy and Finance Committee will meet to go through the next round of ARPA discussions. I said when this process started, and I continue to say it, that I am not confident, not the right word. I'm not promising that we're making final decisions on Friday. I've always left the calendar open for our October meeting to sort of be the deadline to do that, so that we can get something to the governing body by the end of the year for consideration. And so, just to let everybody know, we may make some final determinations or look like it, but we may not come out of that meeting with full recommendations. So I want to set the expectations now that it could be October before we finalize those recommendations. But we will do that at 10 a.m. on Friday morning over at the Holiday Building. So anyone who's interested, that's where we'll be. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilwoman Hiller.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, if nobody else is going to do it, welcome to your first meeting, City Manager.
Thank you.
We appreciate all that you've done so far and bringing you on board, and I guess you just kind of slide in easy this way, but
Thank you.
welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Ortiz.
Can you please get my mic fixed? Somebody broke it.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't push it hard enough. I know that you were welcome when you got overlooked, so I knew that.
Fit right in.
That's just how you measure it. Nice prayer, Neil. I'll remember that forever and ever. I might even use some of that.
Feel free.
Congratulations to Adam. Adam, congratulations, but don't get caught up in the hype, because once you get to the Capitol, you get lost in the shuffle. Stay here local, okay? That way we can keep recognizing you. We know how hard you work. Good job. Just wanted to say it's good to see everybody. I was stopped by one of our city employees and said, she kind of behind me and said, you need to get back because your seat is being
Abused.
overtook by somebody. And so Steve will talk about the seating arrangement that we have here. I also want to say October is my favorite month, and everybody should know why. Why, Tony? Tell us why.
Smoke detector month,
Well,
right?
that's
The fire
close.
prevention month?
There you go,
Okay.
there you go. So hopefully when we come back,
Chair there.
I know, you see everybody and you're just cautious of what we do. So hopefully when we come back in October, we can party with our fire prevention and safety information. So that's all I have. Amanda, it's good to see you. Thank you. I don't know if she's the clerk, the attorney, or who she is. I thought I better get down here and figure it out because she's wearing a many hats. And to my Zoom buddy, I miss you.
Miss you too.
Thank you. Councilman Emerson.
Yeah, we'll go off.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I'll also welcome the new city manager. It's great to have you setting up here now. I look forward to everything I know you're going to be doing in future years here. So, also, just a note, I love this new seating arrangement, so thank you is one of your first things. And I did want to thank actually the new city manager and chief of staff. They helped out Hanham Park at their homecoming parade on short notice on Friday, so really appreciate that. It was a great parade, so thank you, gentlemen. That's it.
Councilman Kell.
First of all, I'd like to thank Bill Cochran for serving as interim city manager. And when I came on, he was my first city manager, even though it was an interim basis. But it went a long 9 months to find a replacement, and so I think he handled that quite well. Another thing I'd like to note is anyone that truly knows me knows that I'm a night owl. And last Tuesday night, I went out to get gas at midnight. And I noticed there were we had city employees out patching Topeka Boulevard. Yeah. And so I stopped by and thanked them and made sure if they needed anything, make sure they had the proper gear that they wanted and things like that, so that they were feeling safe doing that job late at night, and they felt that they did. And so I want to thank those men and women that work after hours. Like I said, the only benefit is they're not out in 100-degree heat during the day doing that. The only benefit, I'd say, is you get a nice cooler night. And also earlier today, like I mentioned, was if you want to change the future, you start with kids. You want to change policy, you want to change things, you start with them and educate kids, and they'll be the ones that start it. And today is National Care for Kids Day. It's caring for children. Caring for the children is the bedrock foundation for strong communities and society as a whole. National Care for Kids Day, held annually on September 20th, offers an opportunity for you to positively impact a child's life in a variety of ways, both large and small. So, like it mentions, just reading a book to a child, being there when they need it, to someone to talk to, being a coach, being a volunteer, things like that. Because I've always sat there the last 10, 15 years and said, if you want to change something, you change it with the kids, because they're the ones that aren't hard-headed like us adults, and the change will happen. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilwoman Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, City Manager, for changing seats. That was very thoughtful of you, and we're happy to have you in this new chair. And thank you to Mr. Cochran for all the good work he's been doing. Just 2 things this week, and they are specific to this week, and I have my signs back. I miss my Zoom buddy, but I am back to my Zoom setup. This is Banned Books Week, and you can find out more about Banned Books Week at bannedbooksweek.org. It got a little bit messy, but you can find out more at our Topeka and Shawnee County Public Library, a wonderful resource for if you're looking at basically ways to see the world differently. Most banned books end up being books that kind of push the comforts of what some people want their children to read, want to be exposed to themselves. And so I would like to challenge you all to go ahead and push those boundaries. Find out more about people who live differently than you, people who look different than you, people who celebrate things differently than you, and find that commonality. And the best way to do that is to pick up a banned book. And this Saturday, Pride Kansas is celebrating Kansas Pride. And you can find out more at pridekansas.org. There will be a rally, there will be at the Capitol, there will be a festival at Evergy Plaza, and there will be a drag night on at TPAC. So I appreciate all of those venues hosting these wonderful events. And I hope that you all find a chance to go ahead and celebrate Pride. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I won't make this too long because we have something we want to get done with the city manager here. Again, welcome in your new role, Stephen. We've known you and we've come to respect your work, and I think that is why you're sitting in the seat you are now. So we all have high expectations, and I know you'll meet them. So congratulations. Again, I had stated earlier to then acting or interim city manager Bill Cochran, I appreciate all the things that you kept on track during this time. And I don't know if it came out the same way that Councilman Kell meant it by a long 9 months, but it was a productive 9 months while you were in that position. So thank you for all your work. I appreciate that. Two things. See, Adam, there are other people that get it wrong.
Thank you for the correction, by the way, on that.
A couple things very, very quickly. This morning, I was privileged to address a government class at Topeka West High School. And it was interesting to visit with them and talk with them. And I bring this up because today was also National Voter Registration Day. And I asked that class who had registered, and every one of them raised their hand. Every single one in that room, and they all said they plan on voting as soon as they turn 18. They're ready to go. And I think that's commendable. They talk about what interests them, and they're keeping track of what's on the ballot. So again, with the youth, as you spoke, if we have interested students and youth like that, then we have a chance to make things better. So I applaud them for getting registered, and remind the public that I think October 18th is the deadline for voter registration. So you have some time. Go out there and encourage those who may not have yet registered to do so, and then vote. The second thing I want to mention quickly is this is still Hispanic Heritage Month. I was able to enjoy a crowd of joyful people this last weekend at Evergy Plaza, celebrating that month of recognition. And just for my part, you know, a lot of times we talk about who your role models and heroes are, and we bring up during Black History Month, the Hispanic Heritage Month, some of the notables that we see on a national level. But for me, my heroes were my parents. And that's where I want to start, in recognizing the contribution that they made to this community by raising 5 young men and keeping them abreast of their culture and appreciative of what we have here in the city of Topeka. So I thank them for that effort, and that is, for me, the Heroes for Hispanic Heritage Month. That's all I have, and I think there is a need for an executive session. If the city attorney would read, please.
The motion would be to recess into executive session not to exceed 15 minutes to discuss employer-employee negotiations related to multiple unions, including but not limited to ASME Developmental Services as authorized by KSA 754319B3. The following staff may be needed to assist the governing body in its deliberations: City Manager Wade and other staff he deems necessary.
Okay, you've heard the need for an executive session. Is there a motion? Motion to adjourn into executive session by Councilman Kell, second by Councilman Emerson. All those in favor say yay. Yay. Yay? Those opposed? What? Okay. None opposed. Okay, we will recess into executive session with just a 5-minute if necessary, but I'm ready to move right into the executive session.
They outnumbered me, Spencer.
Okay, we have concluded our executive session. No action has been taken. There being no further business to come before the governing body, I close this meeting.
Fantastic meeting, Mayor.